Mental toughness. What is it? How to keep it and how to make it strong and so it never goes away. Hey, I'm Donnie Bovine, CEO of the Success Champions family of companies and author of Endless Stream of Referrals. And this is Growth Mode. Hanging out with me as always is my buddy Kevin Snow as the sales and automation tactician and genius. Hang out with us as we talk about sales and business development, and then we dive into how to make sure you got the mental toughness and can stick with it. So mental toughness, man, I freaking love this topic. And I think I want to put it out there. I think often people look at me and assume that I've always had my shit together, and I've always had my head in the game, and it's 100% not the truth. I think, years of sales have helped me out a lot. I think, more importantly, the almost 4 years of running a business have helped me out tremendously. But I wasn't always a strong, confident type of person. I think I just got somewhere along the lines of tired of being the quiet kid that didn't fit in, didn't belong anywhere. And Kevin, I think if you were honest, you would say the same thing. You weren't always very mentally tough starting out.
I just need to point everyone out to the fact that you called yourself the quiet kid.
Once upon a time, man.
I,
Once upon a time, in high school, dude, or actually junior high, I weighed probably 90 pounds, wore glasses, and, I just didn't fit in with anybody. I was in hand-me-down fucking, uh, clothes from my brothers that were all farm style clothes of flannels and blue jeans and nothing fit. So I just didn't fit in. I think a lot of that has to do why I became such a rebellious fuckhead. But you know, yeah. Once upon a time, probably always a smartass, but definitely not the cool kid.
well, and as business owners, that mental toughness thing really comes into play because we get so much thrown at us on a consistent basis that you have to have coping mechanisms. And I think a lot of people go into entrepreneurship and business ownership thinking, oh, this is going to be easy. I'm going to own my own business. I'm going to, I can do what I want when I want. And this is just going to be awesome. And while it is really cool and really awesome, it's not easy. And it takes a
No,
mental, you take a mental beating from it some days.
yeah, for sure. And I think for me, I get mentally exhausted. Especially when you get so many things going, so many moving parts. I get mentally worn out in the day. And Kevin will tell you, but most times by the end of the day, I'm just fucking melted, and we're not getting anything more done. But I think mental toughness really comes into play when you're on sales calls, you're in business meetings. The ability to plant your feet and have tough conversations. It's like, we're getting ready to do a cold call workshop, and I'm going to go live and do live dials in front of a room. That's not an easy thing to do, to do live dials in front of people and have people watching you go through the process, man. Um, I remember the first time I ever did live cold calls in front of a room full of people. I damn near pissed myself. I was freaking out so much trying to pull it off. But you know, I know mental toughness is for me, it's about staying in the game, staying in the moment, and not let your self doubt, imposter syndrome, all these crazy ass thoughts come in to slow you down in a moment. It's about being able to stand there and get punched in the face. How would you define mental toughness, Kevin?
The term that comes to mind, and I hate the Army for making this the first term that comes to mind, is resilience. And that is the big kick in the military right now is resiliency training and giving soldiers the ability to cope with things that are beating down on you mentally. Uh, so and that's really what mental toughness is. It's being able to take those punches and And for me, the big thing for that is understanding, and it took me a long time to start making this differentiation in things, but for me, it's understanding what I can control and what I can't. And Donnie and I both do this on occasion, and throughout the word or the term, it is what it is.
Yep.
And that's literally us just saying, "Oh, I can't control that. What do we do? How do we move forward?" And that is the key thing to that. To survive the day to day of business ownership, you need to understand I can't control everything. I am not going to be able to impact everything that happens in my world. And if something happens that I can't control, all right, I need to deal with it, but I can't get hung up on it.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, and it is what it is. Fuck it. Let's just move on from it. We'll take our licks and, we learn from it. I mean, these are all things that we say on a regular basis because, not everything we try and do works. I mean, a lot of shit breaks. Um, and Kevin will tell you I'm notorious for the fucking an hour before I want to do something like, hey, let's try this shit. And then he's got to try and figure out how to fucking scramble and build things out, you know. And then, like a day later, I'm like, that was a dumb idea. We're not doing it. And he's like, fuck, I just put all this work into it, and now I'm completely changing fucking gears. But, I think uh, a lot of people's lack of mental toughness comes from how they were raised in the world they were brought up in. Like, I've probably said on a couple episodes, you give me a certain style of old whitey gray haired dude and I struggle in that room. And it's just I instantly hear my grandfather and uncle, so standing across from me, basically telling me I ain't good enough. You know, so I have to mentally prepare to walk into those rooms and go toe to toe. And my toe to toe usually puts me in a more tense situation. I don't have the greatest mental toughness. I usually try and pick a fight just to prove that I belong to be there, and that doesn't always show up well. So, there's places where I absolutely struggle with this. And there's places that I absolutely thrive. I mean, you put me into a group of people and I'm supposed to teach sales to, or you put me in front of a situation where there's a bunch of people and everybody's trying to figure out pecking orders, I'll always rise to the top in those situations. Put me in. It's just how I'm wired and programmed. But I think that mental toughness is a practice. I think it's a learned skill. I think, you take a guy like Kevin who was a shy kid, grew up in small farm town. I think he's found himself a lot through the military and through running his own business about how to plant his feet and have these tough conversations. And I think he has fun trying to keep up with me from time to time because we get into some crazy conversations with folks. But I mean, really, you've got to consistently put yourself in the scenarios that cause you to go mentally weak so that you can learn how to stand up for yourself in that moment. How can you have these tough, equal business stature conversations and don't get run over by the process?
I think part of the stress and the mental fatigue that comes with owning a business is that things blow up.
Hmm.
Things don't work, things go wrong, they don't happen how you plan them.
They don't
And
go at the pace you want them to be
yep,
going at.
yeah, because someone on this podcast right now is not patient at all.
Uh, it's Kevin. I'm telling you, he's just the most impact.
Yep, it's me for sure. But that's what owning a business is. You make a plan and it breaks. And part of being mental toughness and building that resilience as a business owner is coming to the realization, the understanding that things aren't going to work, and that's okay, and that those opportunities are learning moments, and you're going to get stuff out of that even if it didn't work the way you wanted to. And that's one thing I think we've done really well as success champions that built into the culture of our organization is that whole idea of, all right, let's break something. And that is literally when we are planning some new function, some features, some process, some course. It's like, all right, let's break it. And that's usually when we come at about the 60% planning stage. It's like, all right, let's go do it. And then let's see what we screw up. And then we look back and say, all right, here's what didn't work, here's what did work, and then we move on and fix it and make it better. A lot of business owners just come up with what they think is the perfect plan and then just go out and execute it. When it doesn't work, they're like, well, fuck, now what do I do? And they don't have any concept of, all right, it's okay that this broke, and they don't have any fallback positions on what they're going to do. And that adds an enormous amount of stress, especially if it is some program that you paid for. $1,500 to do this marketing thing. Crap, I didn't get any leads out of it. All right, what do you do different next time? But they don't have that viewpoint. They just assume, I made a plan, it's going to work.
Yeah, and I would, add on there that, oftentimes we're just doing things to learn how to do it better. There's a lot of things that we try and figure out. But, I think to really keep mental toughness so you really can hold it is you got to have some sort of outlets. Whether it's you go fucking take a walk, whether you have somebody you lean on, somebody you're talking to, for whether it's TikTok, I don't give a fuck what it is. You've got to have something that allows you to fucking turn off for a moment. And for some people that may be meditation, for some people that may be working out, some people that may be going for a run, some people may be reading a book. For me, a lot of times it's going
yoga,
off in the farm. Yeah, no, it's not yoga. This body doesn't bend that way. But fucking yoga. I got goats. We're gonna do goat yoga next. But I really think it comes down to having that, being mentally tough to know at the moment you just need to get out of the situation, change the scenery, change what you're doing, and go find something that brings you a little bit of joy, brings you a little bit of happiness, or just allows you to go, fuck it, I unwind. And one of the other cool things is I do that with my family. I don't hang out with the family as much as I used to, but when I really just need to fucking walk away from everything, I know I can go home, hang out with them, have a few drinks, and who knows what the fuck we're going to talk about. It's going to be some crazy shit, but it's a lot of fun.
I think it's really important when you're having that outlet, especially if it's someone that you're going to talk to about things, is that that you're selective about who that is.
Yes.
As business owners, it's tempting to go to your family and have them as the outlet for when things aren't going right. But
That's a bad plan.
But if they aren't business owners, if they haven't been through that position, they're probably just going to add to the stress. Yep. And beat you down more. That's one of the cool things. I kind of pick who I vent to about different things. Donnie and I have chats about the business stuff all the time, and we talk each other off the edge. But last night I messaged one of my friends. I'm like, hey, have I told you how much I hate people lately? and we had that chat because I was just frustrated with people in general. But I wouldn't ever message him about business stressors because he's not a business owner. He drives bus. He's an NCO in the Army, and that's his gig. So you need to have the right people to have that outlet with, or it's going to have the opposite impact on your stress level.
For sure. So I think to wrap this one up, guys, I mean, mentally toughness is the ability to stay in the game when you need to stay in the game. I think you got to constantly go fuck up and find situations that are uncomfortable for you so you learn how to stay in the game in those moments. And then I think you need to find the proper outlets that allow you to, unwind and walk away from it when you're mentally fatigued, when you're not feeling at the top of your game, and can, let you earn that little Army crappy phrase of resilience. And no wonder the fucking Army created it. It's a dumb phrase. But as always, guys, if you got any information that's of any value out of this, any tip or tricks that you guys enjoy, do us a favor, make sure you are followed and subscribed. If you're on YouTube, ring that little bell so you get reminders when our shows come up. And, telling one other person about this show is everything for us. So, and Badass Business Summit coming up September 23rd through the 25th, 2021. Get your asses there. Love you, mean it. See you. Bye.